Hey, so you just watched my guided meditation video. I based my video off of uh, age groups of 5 to 7 was my intended age group. And this age group is within Erickson's stage of development. They're in the industry versus inferiority. And this is the virtue that they are developing. The virtue that they're developing is competency. Sorry, I was reading off my screen. And one of the key questions to be answered during this phase is, how can I be good, right? And so at this stage of life, when a child is in timeout, all of their feeling is that I am bad, right? I'm bad and I'm being punished for whatever I did wrong. And if the parents just leave them to be in timeout like that and don't give them a goal or a lesson to learn from it, then they are just going to internalize that and it's going to hurt their self-esteem, right? And so this was something that I really wanted to address because meditation is something that is very, very beneficial. Honestly, I'll go back to just like my own experience with meditation. It's something that I learned, I started practicing a year ago, and it's something I really picked up on during the pandemic when I felt very, very isolated and extremely anxious. I have experienced severe anxiety since I was around 7 years old, and it's something that it started as separation anxiety that turned into panic attacks when I had moved to a new school. And there's a lot of changes going on in my life, and I didn't know how to cope with all of the change. And I was just scared when I went to this new school, and I was freaking out. And the only way that the doctors helped me was by medicating me, and they told me I would grow out of it, right? And this was very unhelpful because I never grew out of it. It just manifested itself in different ways. And so I've always experienced this lack of emotion and physiological regulation. And it's created this really negative just effect basically in my life to where I'm very unaware of how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking at times. And this is just something that I struggled with at this stage in my life. And so I thought it'd be really cool to make a teaching video on it of like, what does this child need to learn how to do, right? And so I was teaching them. I wanted to keep this video under the time frame of 7 minutes because based on the timeout rule, which is like a idea that I based this on, was that the age of a child, like say a child is 7 years old, then they should be in timeout for 7 minutes. That's like the idea of the timeout rule. And so I wanted to make this a 7-minute meditation for children up to the age of 7. But I also realized that this is the stage of development where children want to understand and need everything explained to them, right? And so I was more cognizant of that. And so I wanted to explain and give more imagery for children to understand what is meditation, why are we doing it, and how is it going to be helpful? Because children need to understand that, right? Like they need to know, why am I doing this? And they need everything explained to them. And so that's why I really tried to break it down in terms of how they're sitting and how they're doing the body scan, breaking it down from body part to body part and helping them become more aware. And then with the breathing, explaining like, why do you want to feel your belly expand rather than just your chest and your shoulders, and the difference in the quality of breathing that you get. I had done this a couple different ways, and I wanted to incorporate more imagery with it, especially with like the cars going by and this idea of sunshine. There's a ton of meditation, like guided meditation things that you can go listen to that's about sunlight and filling your body up with that body scan with light filling up your body. But at this stage, I just felt it was very important to keep it very simple. especially for children, like trying to do too much is going to overstimulate them um, and confuse them, honestly. And so for the first video, I wanted to keep it simple with just being still, focusing on your breath, and then focusing on the sensations in your body, the sensations around you, incorporating those five senses, right? Which is why I explained the five senses too. I wasn't going to explain the five senses, but it's helpful for kids that they may know it, but to become more aware of it. And so talking about our sight, our smell, our taste, our hearing, touch, and helping them incorporate that, because that is what grounds us. So when we are very, very overwhelmed, it grounds us and allows us to feel more present. And so though that was what is so important for these children to understand. Like, we're going to use meditation for the rest of our life. These skills are valuable to us, not just in what we're doing right now, but for the rest of our life. And so I thought it was important also to talk on that, because especially with the stage of development that these children are in, for Erickson's or even Piaget's, like, they're in a transitory period from 5 to 7 between being a preschool age stage and the school age stage. And so their cognitive functioning and thought processing is from like 2 to 7, it's in the pre-operational stage. And so they are still practicing with their imagination and play pretend. And so I thought it was very important to use that imagination more in what I was teaching them. Their world is dominated by their perception of the world and not what the world actually is. And so helping reframe their perception of the world around them and being more aware of it is very, very important. And meditation just like hones in on that so perfectly. So I just think it's really cool to get to teach kids this and help them like find value and peace within whatever environment they're in, right? Because their perception and how they're perceiving everything is shaping their view of the world right now, especially in Piaget's stage of development. And so, yeah, I just think that meditation is a very useful tool to teach the children, to allow them to hone in on these skills of metacognition, like at a very early age. It allows for better understanding of themselves and improved communication with others, making them more aware of how they're feeling and what they're thinking, especially after a timeout. They can then leave that space and talk to their parents in a calm manner and regulate their emotions a little bit more effectively. And so it's really important before the meditation for the parent to calm the child down and point them in the direction of being able to listen. So wipe the tears, help them stop the tantrum, and know that they're still good, right? Their child needs to know that they are still good. Explain to them why and what they did was wrong, and what they would have been like, what would have been like a better solution to what they did. And then to enter the meditation with these thoughts, right? So allowing them to reflect and calm down and avoid, like, this is going to help the child from feeling like they are less than or have a low self-esteem, which is very, very important for children to understand. And so, yeah, I just think it's a great practice. I wish that we would actually incorporate this more into pediatrics and the pediatric realm of education, because just like there's a lot of diseases that can be prevented by us not smoking or by us getting better sleep and diet, like meditation is something that has literally proven to lower stress, help us become more aware of ourselves, and just promote increased health. And so there's more research being shown for this, but I hope that it gets implemented into the pediatric populations, because this can be a preventative tool for a lot of illness when we learn to manage our physiological state and mental state to help treat things like anxiety and depression without having to be medicated, or in conjunction with medication. Just something that is more mutually beneficial. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. But yeah, thanks for listening.